This is Harbaugh from the San Francisco 49ers. Corey, do you have a minute? Yeah, I have a minute. That moment was just like everything I've worked for, like all the long days, 3 o'clock in the morning to do punishment workouts at Auburn, where I grew up, where it was a very rough neighborhood. Seeing all that happen and then being in that like position where a team loved me enough to like pick me. It was the most rewarding thing in the world. Fitness has always been like something like super close to me. I had friends that were in group training with Barry's and I went there and I was like, I love it. It was just like such a great vibe. And I was like, I can do this. That's what I enjoy the most, is like making people happy.
All right. I'm excited to have on a person that I have been trying to get on for a while now. And it's somebody who, frankly, he's doing a lot of great things in the world. And if you are a fan of Auburn football, or if you're a fan of San Francisco 49ers, you probably are going to recognize the name. So I'm proud to introduce Corey Lemonier.
Lemonier.
Yeah, great.
Lemonier.
Lemonier.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show, Corey.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
I'm
it.
excited, man. Like, it's been a minute. So glad to be here with you and like get the word out, So yeah. Let's get it.
Thank you so much. So obviously, I just gave the audience a brief history of who you are, but if you can spend about 30 seconds or so, kind of give the audience a brief synopsis of who you are.
Elevator pitch.
Give me the good stuff, yeah.
From born and raised Miami, Florida. Parents, I'm Haitian. Parents born in Haiti. Went to Auburn, 3 years, national championship my freshman year. Got the opportunity to get drafted by the San Francisco 49ers in 2013. Where I played there for 3 years, moved to Cleveland for a year, and then finished off my career with the Jets. And then lived in New York for a couple years, and then came back to the Bay because I just love the Bay so much, and I made a lot of like really close connections here. I consider family. And so now the Bay Area is my home. So yeah, I see myself as a Bay Area kid, transplant, Bay Area transplant. And yeah, and loving it ever since. Been training, whether it's like group training, personal training, or just managing. So yeah, definitely. So
well, first of all, thanks for coming back to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Usually people, when they find out the cost of living here, it's like, I'm getting out of this place. I can't deal.
There's so much though. There's so much. That's why you get more bang for your buck here. So yeah. That's how I rationalize it in my head. So,
good point there.
Yeah.
So you went to Auburn, national championship. That was in
2010.
2010. Wow.
Yeah. Don't date me.
Hey, I graduated in 2005, so I don't feel as bad. Okay. You guys beat what? Oregon, right?
We beat Oregon. My brother, he went to my extended brother, he went to Oregon. So he was at the game, and I didn't know him at that time. So we have like this. We became like brothers because of that rivalry. So
wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Miami, right?
I grew up in Miami. Yep, wow. Dade County. Yeah. So
how was life in Miami? Obviously, it's night and day from San Francisco. We were sort of talking, but what is that life like out there?
I mean, it's like not different from any other place besides the warm weather. Everybody's in like some type of like bikini, or it's just very like very flashy. Like it's all about like who like what is flashy. It's just like a ghost city. Like everybody's like doing something. I think I told you earlier that like me and my buddies, we found out that we didn't have to. When I found out that I was going to college, and like I didn't have to like take classes anymore because like I was like already, I had the grades and I had the points to move on to college and stuff like that. So we just like took our senior year as like a big senior year skip day. So
party year, man.
So it was a party year for us. So yeah, we would, we'll go out to the beaches, we'll go to play like friends' houses, and just like just relax. It was just just hang out on Miami Beach or Brickell or anywhere in Miami. So it was definitely a different vibe. I think it's like what shaped me, who I am, because like I'm a very like outgoing person as well. So and everybody in Miami is just like you're always doing something. So I think that's like part of my life. And I think one thing I can say, like my mom gave me a quote, and it's like it stays with me, and it's like if you're not living, you're dying. So I'm always like doing something. So yeah. So yeah.
Now, especially because San Francisco and the Bay Area, it's a different lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Some people might think, do people in Miami, is it too fake?
Yeah.
Is it just too, you have to look a certain way, otherwise you can't get in the club? Is it you have to?
I mean, there's like pros and cons with it. Like there's, the fakeness and then also the realness, right? If somebody doesn't like you, I think that's like one thing I had to get adjusted with the Bay Area too. And I found annoying as well, because like, if somebody doesn't like you in like on the East Coast, they'll let you know, like, in the nicest way,
Yeah.
New
New Yorkers, man.
Yorkers, right? Like you sneeze on the train and then they'll be like, they hand you a tissue and be like, stop that right now. So it's kind of like that same mentality here in the Bay Area. Everybody's just like super nice and they don't like really say what they mean. So it's just like kind of like shift through that. And it's like, what are you saying right now? I think that was like the biggest difference for me with living in the Bay Area compared to the East Coast. So yeah.
It's for everything that the Bay Area has great, and it does. Sometimes that is one thing that does annoy me here.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to tell me straight up,
right? Yeah.
what I need to do.
If you don't want to hang out, if you don't do anything, just like let me know, so then I can like plan around you now. Like so I think that's like one thing I've learned. One, to be patient. Like like I said, like I'm always on the go. Like when growing up here is more a little bit laid back, and it forced me to just like, smell the roses and just like kind of like relax and not take everyththing so like seriously and like serious. And it's nice, but sometimes you need that, like, hey, we need a if we're trying to get to point A to point B, we need to know we have to go, like, so I think that's the biggest difference. Yeah.
No idea there. So what was life like in Auburn? The college life, because we hear about it here. The SEC college life is in a whole different world than anything we're experiencing here. How was it over there?
It's unreal. I mean, it was definitely a shift, because going into somewhat of a big city as Miami to going into a small town was just different, right? It's weird not having like downtown life where it's like clubs and bars and stuff like that. There's bars and clubs in Auburn, but it's not like the same. Everybody's like dressed in like sundresses. Guys will wear like suits and ties to like, it'll be like 95 degrees outside with like 100% humidity. And it's like, you're still going out with that on. And it's just, I think we talked about, just how simple life is and how like simple, like, I'm not saying like in a bad way, but just like the simple mindedness like of everybody, and not like, and I said not in a bad way. It's just like, it's like plain spoken, like everybody, what you're going to get with them from people in the South. And there's some niceness to it too, because of me coming from Miami, like, you mean what you say, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's your actions speak louder than words. And I think that's what the South is. It was for me. I think my first year was like a whole adjustment period, because it was like super slow. As soon as the season ended. And then it was like the spring semester. That was fine. Like, and then once it hit summer, that's when the depression hit. And then I was like, I want to go back home. There's nothing to do here. Why am I here right now? Like, get me out of here. But then like once I like making like really good connections and like really good friends, my roommates and like teammates and like other athletes on the Auburn sports, like volleyball, equestrian, like all other sports. Then it was just like, it was so easy for me to like branch out and do things that I've never done. Like, I've never went hunting before, so I went hunting in Alabama, right? So that was awesome. Like a whole experience. Like, went mudding, and I was like, what the hell is mudding? And they're like, we like to get our trucks and go into mud. And I was like, you want to get dirty like this?
Yeah.
And they love that. They love stuff like that. And it was just like, good food. I mean, they put butter into everything, and it tastes so good. Not the healthiest, but it tastes so good, and just, yeah, it was a great time. Like, I think especially winning national championship made it even more memorable as well. So, not coming into it, we had like the #1 recruiting class in the nation. So, everybody, like, you hear from like every college team, like, we're going to build a recruiting class here and there. And then like you hear from like Alabama or Oregon that we're building this like #1 recruiting class, and they'll do it. And, like, excluding Alabama, but like because they win, like we're not happy about it. But it was it was you hear that like they have the number one recruiting class and nothing really happens with that. And so, I came in like with a bunch of 5-star recruits. We had like Cam Newton on our recruiting class, Michael Dyer, just like a bunch of like, quality players. And we just like, it was like one game at a time, like, and we're just like keep chipping away. And I think it was a Kentucky game. I think that was like a turning point for us where it was Kentucky. Kentucky is like historically not a good football team, right?
They have a team.
Right? And so we were playing them, and I remember we were down, and it was just like, why are we losing to this team, right? Like before we were playing Mississippi State, where we played just a lot, like just other teams on a long list, but Kentucky was like the team that was just like, why are we losing to Kentucky, right? And then it just like we just like flipped the switch, and then we came back and won that game, and then every game after we like LSU, we were down by like 20 or something like that. We came back and we won. Like we were down by like 30 something points with Alabama our last game. We came back and we won that game, and it was just like. It was just like, even though we were down, we had that conviction in us. And I think that was like what set us apart with a lot of like teams I've been with. Like, it was just like teams that, like, especially after Auburn and then in the pros, where like, it was just that feeling of just like, oh, we have this. Like, we're not like scared of like being down, right? We can just like if we keep chipping away, we'll eventually get there. And I think that was such a memorable moment, especially, playing in a national championship, playing in that game. It was unreal. Like, I never thought that like in my life that I would be on that stage at like, I think I was like a 16, 17-year-old. And it was just like, I weighed about like 230.
You were 17?
Like 17, playing 230, like, which is like light compared for a DN as well. And playing in that high level, it was just like, who am I right now? And it was just like looking back at it. It was such a memorable experience, and got it. Like I played a bunch in that game, made a couple like key tackles, and I think that built my confidence up for the season after, right? Like I think those like making those plays for the like that big stage, and then also winning was just like, now that I got a piece of that pie, I want more of that pie. Like, I want, instead of apple pie, I want, I want lemon pie. I want all the type of pies. So that definitely like put that dog in me. That's when it was just like, okay, now I want to like work in my craft so then I can go on to into the pros. And so like that off season was just like, it was just, in the gym for how long, making myself eat more so I can gain weight, just like things like that. But, it was, going back to the original question, it was such a memorable experience. Like I enjoyed every part of it. Like the people I met, the experience I've made, the games we won, the games we lost. Definitely, you learn more about yourself when you lose games, and not just like, the games that you lost by 1, but the ones that you lose by like 50, right? And it's just like, it really puts you on like, on a stool with a light flashing on you, asking you like, who are you right now? And I think that was like like my time at Auburn was such a memorable experience where I learned how to become a professional, and how I can be like, how can I be better in my craft, and how to take criticism, and like just stuff like that. So it was definitely, a growth moment for me. And it just, if I had to do it again, I would always, I would just do it again. So yeah.
One thing that stood out to me was just the brotherhood that you build with a team like that, going from when you're down, 40, 50 points, or you're losing to a team like Kentucky. No disrespect to Kentucky, but they weren't anything back then. I mean, they still are.
Yeah.
Like just how it brings you together.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're not doing it for money, because, now I think they get paid.
But
back then you didn't.
Yeah.
So it was all about the passion, the brotherhood, the working together to accomplish that same task.
Oh, yeah.
And just those lessons that you learn from there and how you take them with you the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
That's beyond impressive.
Oh, yeah. No, it was waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, to just work out with your teammates. And, our style of training was just intense. Like we would, you wake up at 5 o'clock, you'll go in, you do all the prep work, and then we'll go out on the field, and we'll do positional drills, and it'll just be like 45 minutes of positional drills, and you're like you're tired, like at the end you're tired, and then the thing is they turn the AC off and the heater on in the indoor field, and this is like midsummer, right?
Oh, man.
So it's already humid as hell in that room. So in our indoor facility. So you're just be sweating your butt off. And then you go into the weight room, and where you're expected to like lift like squat 500 pounds, like deadlift 600 pounds, like power clean 300 something pounds. And it's like, you like they're trying to build you into like that bigger, faster, stronger model. And then right after that, you would go back into the indoor field, and then you'll do like 110 yard sprints. Right. Jeez. And in that heated, and then after that, we'll get 45-pound plates, and you have to, it was like a 45 degree turf where you have to push this 45-pound plate up the turf. And that was like the end of it. And so it was just like, we were dying, but like we're like 17 to 20-year-old like men. And to know that you're doing it with like people around you that are like doing it for the same common goal, it made it a lot easier, right? And it just like what made us like closer as a team. And so then that, like when you're looking at like the hard stuff, that was hard. Like games are hard as well, but it's not as like what we went through is what prepared us for those games. So I think that's what, when we're going into those like, those tough games where we're down and stuff like that, we've already done all the prep work, and now it's just like perform now, So I think that was, So
there's a thing in psychology about some of the hormones that we have in our body. One of them is vasopressin. And the idea is that it's a stress hormone, and it's very predominantly more in favor of men, that we build relationships with people based on stress. And this is a great example that when you and the guys are going through that same level of stress together, you want to fight harder for each other.
Oh yeah.
Because God, I just can't even imagine being in the heat, the humidity, and then pushing plates up there after you did 1,810 yard sprints, all those power cleans, like that really pushes you to the edge.
Oh yeah.
And to have your brothers there to help you get through it, and you're all on the same team together, man, it's like, I'm going to take a wild guess that even to this day, you still carry those bonds from the same guys you were going through. Like,
I mean, if there's something, a life event, or, somebody hits you up, you can pick up from where we left off, and it doesn't feel like, oh, you don't talk to me ever. It's just like everybody has to like live their lives and stuff. But it's also awesome that, if there's like a wedding, or if there's any like a life event, like somebody has a kid, I can like reach out to them like, hey man, like I'm in Florida, like we'd love to see you and the kids and stuff like that. And it's just like, we're brothers, right? Like, and
like you never left.
You never left, right? So it's just, especially my college roommates, they're just awesome, right? We've like lived together for like 2 years, and one of them, Cody Parkey, he's the one that almost, like, he was one of the reasons why I went to Auburn, because we both grew up as Miami Dolphins fans, and he had like 2 brothers. He was like the middle kid, and I had 2 brothers. I was the middle kid, and like our parents were like almost the same age, so it was like everything was like the same, but he was white, and so we came in there and we're just like, hey, let's go to Auburn. They're like showing us love and all that stuff. And even to this day, like his mom would like message me, like without like even Cody hitting me up. I'll just like talk to the mom, here and there. And it's just like, it feels super organic. So yeah. That brotherhood.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
And you did 3 years at Auburn?
I did 3 years.
3 years. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you make the decision in your head to say, now I want to go to the NFL versus completing my 4 years? That's a big thing that people hear about college athletes, is how come they don't finish the degree before they go to the league, and then some come back and some never do. What was going through your mind when you decided this is the right time for me to put myself out there?
It was, I think it was, for me, it was like a leap of faith. Internally, like I said, after the national championship and like making a couple plays, it just like put that like hunger in me to like, okay, now it's like, I want to be like, I know that our team is the best. Now I want to be recognized as the best player on the team, and like recognize like nationally. And so again, in the off season, just putting in that work, doing like positional drills after the workouts, after our grueling
Yeah.
workouts, like doing stuff like that, like making sure that like I'm dominating on the one-on-ones. I'm lifting as much as everybody else. Like, so I'm running with, instead of running with the linebackers, trying to run with the DBs and stuff like that. So it was just like it was like my goal was like, okay, like what's next for me? And so, took that hunger into my second year where, I did well for myself. I, got all SEC, was, just like lineman of the year in the SEC, just like all these like
Jeez,
different accolades. And so it was just like, it was so cool to, be recognized. Going into like the store and you see like a bunch of 55 jerseys in the store. And it's like, this is weird because like before it was like last year was like number 2 for
Yeah.
Cam. Now it's 55. So I was like, okay, I'm doing something good. I'm doing something well. And, it was, I think that gave me that spark that like I am worthy for the next level. And then, took that same mentality onto my third year where we were just like we were decimated as a team. We lost a lot of seniors. It was like a lot of like the first class, and we kind of went through a crazy my recruiting class, that same recruiting class, right? That it was insane. Three players got arrested for stealing weed, and they stealing weed with a flare gun and also a gun. And so they went to jail for like 30 years. Like, so that was like
30 years.
it was, yeah. I mean, threatening with a gun to get weed. Like, it was just like, it was all bad. So they were in trouble. They got in trouble. So that was like a receiver tight end right there. And then after my sophomore year, I was living with 3 office linemen before I lived with like my Cody and like the other roommates. Once I moved in my second year, we're like after my second season, that same recruiting class, like there was like a shooting at Auburn that killed 2 of the players. And then shot one of and like wounded one of the other. And so, just very traumatic. We were just like, and then from there, after like people getting in trouble when it comes to like, going into a McDonald's and saying something like super racist to one of the workers. So they had to like, to suspend one of the players, or some players are going and getting DUIs or getting trouble. Like, it's just there was just like, I mean, my class we won a national championship, but it just like went south right after. And it was just like, I remember our coach put a curfew on us, and he was like, hey, I'm saving you guys from yourselves. And so he had, even if you lived off campus, he had a security guard right outside your house, just to make sure that you're not going and doing something, like you're not getting yourself in trouble. So as soon as my junior year hit, people died, people went to like prison, people got kicked off the team. It was just like all these things was happening. So our team was just like decimated. And then we were losing games. I was just like, I was doing well in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, then all the focus on every team was like on me now. So then it was just like, okay, let's like double team this guy, like, So then it was that was a struggle. So now it's just like, okay, I took that that realization of like, okay, well, I'm not gonna wait on, like, I already talked to the NFL, like talked to an agent. They were like, you'll go like high 3, like like 1 to 3 rounds, and so. Like you can make that choice, or you can like stay behind. And, you hear all the horror stories of like people getting hurt, or, things don't play, like they don't have the season that they wanted. And so their draft stock went down. And so I was just like, okay, yeah, I can either take a risk, or I can just like go ahead and like take this opportunity. And, it worked out for me. And I, like, if I had to do it again, I'll do it all over again. So yeah.
That's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
So going back to some of the issues on the team, was that when all the seniors left? Were they pretty much the glue that was holding the team together? And when the top guys left, it's like, well, we don't have leadership.
It was, I wouldn't say, it was just like a lot of the seniors. When the seniors left, yes, like, but some of the seniors did contribute to that, like, there was like one senior that contributed to the robbery. And so it was like 3 freshmen, and then it was 2 freshmen, 1 got off, and then 1 senior. So the senior and then 2 of the freshmen went to jail for a while, and then the one guy, he got off. But I think it was a lot of, you know, it's kind of like when the parents are gone, the kids will play kind of thing, right? Like as soon as the seniors left, you know, like Cam was like a big leadership person on our team. A guy named Cody Burns was a big leader on our team. Zach, I forgot his last name, but there was a lot of leaders on our team that like held us together. And I think once they left, it was just like a kind of like a free for all. Like everybody was just like going off doing whatever they want to do. And you know, because now you can't tell us anything. We just won a national championship, right? And now it's like, okay, we can go to a bar and start a fight with somebody because you know what? No matter what, we're gonna get off. And it's like that's not the case when it comes to like real life. You know?
No.
You know, you know, it's sports, right? It's like if you're somewhat famous, then people are more lenient to you, but it was not the case for them. Like it was just like they did something wrong, they got in trouble, and you know it hurt our team, like our team morale, but we still kept on pushing. And you know I wasn't on the team, but I'm like super proud of the boys. But you know my supposedly my last year, my senior year, that team went on to the national championship again. So they lost it, but like it was like again like the fact that they went from going, you know, mediocre on my second year there to like absolutely dog poop my 3rd year, and then going back to the national championship, that's like a huge testament to them. Like such a great team, like good, like there was like a lot of key members on that team that made that like, you know, made my experience like memorable. And the fact that they went without like a Cam Newton on their team, right? Yep. That's like, that shows that was a great team. It's just like we were misguided for 2 years. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But to be able to power through that, I mean, that's an incredible. Obviously, the guys who did something wrong, they had to be held accountable for it. But for the whole team to say, we're going to get this together and get it right, just to get to the national title game in and of itself is an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
crazy.
Yeah.
So as we fast forward, talk about your draft experience. Did you have an idea what team you wanted to go to? Did you think you were going to start somewhere? How were you preparing for that?
You know, I think I grew up a Dolphins fan, like I said.
Sorry to hear that.
Stop it right now, okay? You're a Raiders fan, so don't even talk about it, all right? They left you, all right? You didn't leave them, okay?
Yeah, we got the new stadium. Again, an excuse to go back to Vegas.
Okay, all right. You know, the draft experience was great. Like I was just super nervous, like, you know, doing all the pre-draft stuff where there's like working out, doing the combine, all that stuff. That's like physical, right? It's like stuff I've been doing for like all my life. So it's just like, you know, performing that. But I think just like sitting and waiting to like know who's gonna pick you was like just super nerve-wracking. Just to know like, you know, my life from like Miami to Alabama can take me to Buffalo, like, you know, New York, or, you know, like a Seattle, Washington, where I've never even like been to these 2 places ever in my life. Like, and so it was, I had a couple teams come out to my pro day in Auburn. And then I talked to a bunch and during the combine as well. So it was like, you kind of get the sense of like what team like are looking for like defensive end, outside linebacker types. And you can also like kind of narrow it down, right? Like, you know, I was like a smaller defensive end. So I was more fitted for a 3-4 scheme than anything. So then you can like process of elimination, what teams run a 3-4. And so it's like, okay, this, like who was talking to me the most. It's still at the end of the day, like I still didn't know who was going to pick me, but at the same time, like I can make a you know, an educated guess about what team is going to hit me up. So it was, you know, it was just nerve-wracking. I had like my family come in. I had like all the friends at the house in Auburn. It was like, you know, after I remember the 3rd round, when the 3rd round hits, I was just like so frustrated. I was just like in my room, just stressed out. Like, where the hell am I gonna go? And I decided to go use the bathroom. Right, this is a funny story. Went to use the bathroom, and mid peeing, I get a call, and I'm just like, oh my god, this would freaking happen to me. Right, so I'm just like out here just shuffling, just like like a cat, like a cat when they see a laser pointer, right? Like they're just shuffling around, and I picked up the phone, and I was just like so freaking nervous, and they're like, hey. This is Harbaugh from the San Francisco 49ers. Like, Corey, do you have a minute? And I was just like, yeah, I have a minute. Like, what are you talking about? I've been waiting for like a long minute now, And so it was, just that moment was just like, I don't think I was like in my body at that moment. Like, I was just like, I was looking down. I was like, this is like everything I've worked for. Like all the, the long days, the waking up even at like 3:00 in the morning to do punishment workouts at Auburn, going to down and dirty camps in Florida where you're putting in that work for three days, and you're just like, grueling. You're drinking water out of like PVC pipes, and everybody's muddy. Like there's no showers. It was just like, you're there to get down and dirty. Right. Going through like family, like, just like where I grew up, where it was just like very rough neighborhood, and just like seeing all that happen. And then like, being in that like position where, wow, like a team loved me enough to like pick me. And it was just, it was the nicest, it was like not the nicest, but it was the most rewarding thing in the world. Right. I was just like, I feel accomplished here. Like my life is like completely changed now, like, for the better. And it's like, now it's like, now where can I like, let's start this work now. Like, now where can I go now? So yeah, it was such a memorable experience, and, I wouldn't change anything. So yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you get to San Francisco. I'm sure it's the next day, right? They fly you out that night.
Yeah, the next day. Yeah.
And you get everything set up, and they talk to you about your contract. So now they're throwing numbers at you.
Yeah.
How are you processing that thing? And this is NFL, reliability and money that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, it was, most money I've ever seen in my life. So it was like, you're telling this, like, I want to say I was like 20 or something like that, 20 years old at that time. 2013, like 10 years ago. Yeah, like 2021 at that time. Thank goodness I had like an amazing agent who helped me out through that process, Eric Mentz. And he just like helped me out through the process, and just like kind of like sat me down, and this is what we're gonna do. Like this is what you're gonna get paid. This is like the rookie contract, and I've worked at a restaurant before, and it was like bi-weekly payments, and so I didn't understand the NFL contracts, so like how they get paid, and and it was like a lot, and especially not getting paid throughout until the season start. I think that was like just different for me, because you get the signing bonus, and then you go into the season. And then you get paid every week, and then after the season you don't get paid until the next season after. So it's like, now you have to figure out like, okay, this chunk of money, this big huge chunk of money that you are acquiring in these 17 weeks, you got to like be rational and just like spread it around throughout the whole year. I think that was like a change for me. And then it's like, I'm not saying like it was like big money, like, being with players like NaVorro Bowman, Patrick Willis, right? Like Frank Gore, Justin Smith. When I see their paychecks, I'm just like,
nice.
Like, oh my God. I remember we had a bet with like Justin Smith, and I like, we huge bet. At my time, I was like, this is big, right? Auburn was playing Missouri for the SEC championship game. It was like this is like what the national championship here. And Justin was like, look, let's bet. And I was like, okay, your game check for my game check. Who wins the game? So I'm just like, oh God, like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is like my livelihood. I can't do it. Like, and at that time it was like 17 grand, right? Like, and then he's like showing me his check. And it was like close to like, like I think it was like 70K or something like that, 70 to like 80K. And I was just like, and after the game, and so we didn't shake hands. I was like, look, just buy me like something, like just because I don't feel comfortable with this. And Auburn beat them like 50-3, right?
Oh, man.
So I was like, oh my goodness, like I could have made like 80K right there, just like off a bet. But yeah, it was just like a lot of money coming to me at a young age, and it was like I'm untouchable now, right? Like it's like everything I dreamed for, I have it now, and it's like I can do things that I wasn't able to do before. So it's just, go on trips or like built a house for my dad in Haiti or stuff like that. Like it was just like all these things that I couldn't do before. Now I can do. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience, and just like how to. And you hear all the horror stories about like players losing money and all that stuff like that. So it was just like, okay, how am I going to be like smart with all this, like investing it, in place and like in stocks and stuff. And, like I bought a house down in San Jose, just like as like a real estate property. And so it was just like all these things that I was like trying to make sure that like after the league, I was going to be set up. And yeah, so it was an eye-opening experience.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that people think about a lot of pro athletes, is that you hear the horror stories like a Paul Pierce or whatever, who they just blow all their money. They made how many millions of dollars and it's all gone. Or Allen Iverson, another big one. So at that age in your 20s, you've been given a check with more zeros than you've seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
The ability to go buy the nice cars, the bling, the flash, and then go to Vegas, Miami, whatever, and really live it up. How do you keep yourself in check? Did you hire a financial advisor? Did you say, you know what, I'm just gonna wing it on my own, see what happens?
Yeah. So no, and like I give it all to like the friends and family that I like had around me, because they are the ones that like kept me in check. I have like, I have a couple brothers that I rely on, who's just like, one, I grew up with in Miami, and this guy's just like the smartest dude in the world. Like I think so highly of him. He actually went to UPenn for finance, got his MBA at Stanford. Now he's off doing great things and stuff like that. And like, he's helped me with all that. And he's helped me through like the whole process. So then, it wasn't like I learned my financial literacy through him. And then, having like my best friend, the guy that went to Oregon, who was more of like a spiritual friend for me, who was like, hey, Corey, do you really need that? Like, is that like the right thing to do, right? Like, so I had like a lot of people around me that like kept me sheltered and stuff like that, and kept me like on the straight and narrow, and like, and then that helped. Like, I mean, financial advisors are like a must. Like I did hire one for investment reasons, and I think that helped me a lot. And it was, again, I go back to the people that you surround yourself with, because I think one thing players and athletes, they fall for is the people they're around with, like the yes man, right? The one that are like, yeah, let's do this, let's go to Vegas, let's blow like 30K on a table real quick, let's like, we're going to go to the store, we're going to buy out the store, and those are the friends like I try to like stay away from. And so it was just through sports, especially NFL, that's like, you like, it's very easy to like fall into that lifestyle, because like you got your brand new money right now. It's like, how am I going to show it off? Like, how I'm going to like set myself apart from like everybody, so that people notice me more. And that was such a, I mean, I see it like every day. Like, we had like one guy who, I mean, he was driving a different car like almost every single week. Like, I mean, it was just ridiculous. Like how many cars he had, like Ranges, like he had Ferrari, he had a semi truck. He had like, I mean, just like Bentley Continental, like, just like, and like he was the same draft class. And I was just like, wait, like you drafted like one round before me, like, but I know what you make. Like, this is insane that you have these many cars, and like find out that he has like a petting, like a whole zoo in Ohio, right? Like that and it was just like all these like crazy things, right? Like, and so you hear these like horror stories, like these stories within, you're like within the team, and it's just like, how are these people like living life like this? Like, and I think that kind of scared me away from like living that lifestyle. And I'm not gonna say like I didn't like go, like I'll take trips to like, Asia for like a month on my off season. Like, I like got a nice car, and it's so it was, but it was nothing like where I'm going to the club and like spending like, 100 racks, on bottles and stuff like that. So it was,
Well, did you get the sense that even for the guys that are making well, almost everybody else is making pretty good money, that even with that, they were still living above that means?
Yeah.
Almost like they had to take out more debt just because they just kept.
You have to live that lifestyle, and that's the trap, right? That's because football's not forever. So it's like, I think one thing I've learned is like your lifestyle, the way you live, should somewhat match your finances, right? Like if you not like, how can I say this? Like if you're living above your means, and your check that comes in every week doesn't say that, right?
Yeah.
Then you're setting yourself for failure. So then it was like a lot of, especially like towards my end of my career, it was like, okay, like how am I gonna like dwindle back and just be like, okay, now I have to be like strategic about this, because I was going through like a rough patch with the NFL, and I was just like, okay, I got to think about the next thing. And so definitely that was just like, again, another eye-opening experience for me, where it was just like, okay, now I have to make this like a long-term play than just like what's happening right now, because like it's fun right now, but I know it's not gonna be fun later on. And so it was just, it taught me a lot of lessons. And again, going back to like friends that are around me that are like, I'm super close with, who kept my head above, like, made sure that my head was above water, that I was like not doing stupid things all the time, and just being with family. Like I think that was the biggest thing for me that helped me with my like financial literacy, and like how I was able to like, stay, like have some like pocket change left over from my time in the league. So yeah,
that is so important, because you're right. You get thrown a lot of money that you've never seen before in your life. All of a sudden, everybody comes out the woodworks. People want to be your friend. For a lot of guys, it's the women just come out the woodworks. I never had this much attention. What do I do? Here you go. This. And then when that money's gone, all of a sudden, where are they at?
It's insane. Like, I mean, it's just, it's people gravitate to money, and they just want to be in that limelight with you. So it's just, and those are the friends that are just like transactional friends, where it's like, okay, you're fun to hang out with, but when it comes to like, are you going to be with me in the gym? Are you going to like the hard times, are you going to be there with me? And those are the ones that are never going to show up, right? They're going to they're going to leech onto somebody else, with like, with some limelight or something like that. So it was just, it was easy for me to like spot those off really quickly, and then kind of like move myself away from them, and be around people that actually like have more depth to them, like that have like goals in their lives, like not just like leeching onto other people, right? And it's just like, and I think that's what I love, like with the people I'm around with. It's just like, I'm not the focal point of the friendship, right? It's like we're collectively like a great group of people, right? And then it's like, if this person does great, then it just gives everybody else more coal in the fire to like do something great, right? And it's like, and then we just like feeding off each other, and it's like, okay, like how can we up this now? Like, so I think that's key. That was like key for my mental health, especially going into after football. So yeah,
it's very important. And you kind of wish we knew this lesson in our 20s, but really when we get in our 30s, it makes more sense. You start to realize all the flashy things, the material things, they're nice. I don't care about the M3 BMWs anymore. I actually care about talking to people, being with a group of people who are like-minded, who are making me better in different areas that you can't quantify with money or fame. That this is actually what, because human beings, we're designed to help out our fellow men. That's how our species survive, and all the other ones died out.
Yeah.
So if you were just focusing on materialistic stuff, it might seem okay in your 20s. You get in your 30s, that's where that whole concept of money doesn't buy you happiness. It's from that mindset, like, yeah, you can have all the money in the world, but what do you got to show for it at that point?
100%.
So what was life like in the NFL, and how different was it from college? Is it just more like, this is a job, I clock in and this is the expectation, and is the camaraderie level just different than what it was in college?
I think, it's a huge difference, right? Like, I think college was a social experiment, right? Like, people from all over. It's all a social experiment, right?
Yeah,
Life is all a social experiment, right? But I think, for anybody that's like not like an athlete, like all the college kids, they come in to a spot like where they go to school, and they just party all the time. And so like, and then it's like they come watch us play, especially in the South, right? And then like we come in as like athletes, is like we work out hard, we go to classes, and then we party with the people that came here to party, right? So and it was just like so much fun, right? Like everything was just, rent was like $400, right? Like when like life was just like just easy, right? Like it was for people that didn't have money, like it was just like an easy life, right? Where we'd have to think about like standard things, right? Things were just like given to you, right? And then once you get into the pros, it was just more so, okay, now this is a job, right? Where now you're expected to perform. And not saying like you're not expected to perform in college, but this is now, there's money tied to it. So there's money, like different incentives tied to it. Like now, like you have to think about like your branding now, right? Like how can Corey Lemonier, and this is the thing, like I didn't really know about branding until like the social media age came through, right? Then it's like if I had that, if I know what I know now in college, then things will be different when it comes to like social media and all that stuff. But I'm glad that I learned that like now. But at the same time, I think with the NFL, you wake up 6 o'clock, right? You go into work and you clock out at like at 5 or 6, and it was just more so. I think one thing is like if you get in trouble in college, you do punishment. Like you come in, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you push boards for like 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
You get if you do something wrong in the NFL, like instead of there's no punishment in NFL. They just fine you, right? So there's like they take money out of your pocket, and then now it's like now you have to think like, okay, like this is what grown-ups like. This is what happens, right? Like you do something wrong, you get hit in the pocket. So I think that like gave me that like, oh, this is like, okay, this is real world. Like this is like, this is as much as the real world as possible, right? Where, you come in here, you perform, and then you get paid for that performance, and the expectations of people, the expectation people have of you, is like what you give out, right? So if you put out more than people are happy, and then now it's like then now you're getting paid more. So it definitely was a huge difference where now it's like you're talking to grown men now. Like before, it was just people all your age, that like 16 to 20-year-olds. And now it's like you go into a locker room and you meet this like 40-year-old kicker who has like 5 kids and that has like, multiple business and stuff like that. And it's like, how do I relate to somebody that's like 20 to this 40-year-old man, like, and just, it's just different. Like now you have to like navigate through like the locker room politics of just like how this young person can talk to this old person, like how we can like, do something for the common goal, right? And because at the end of the day, like as soon as practice is over, he's going to my family and I'm going to go hang out with my friends, right? Like, it's just, I think that was like a big difference for me, where in college is like, I'm just hanging out with my friends all the time, so yeah.
You're right. You're all the same age. You all have been the same position in life. And now you go into an area where you're working people with different experience levels, different finances, different life things. Once they clock out, they're all going their own separate way.
Yeah.
So this is a good thing to know how people win in the NFL, because when you have a locker room full of people of all different ages, how does the team bond together to say, we have this common goal, when everybody's like, well, I've been doing this for 10 years and it was just different for me back then. How does that really mesh together?
I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a good coach. I think a good coach who can wrangle all the personalities with players, especially pro players, because if a coach has a guy that is like 40 years old that's like thinking about retiring, and he's like on the edge of his his peak performance, then he has to figure out like how to like make this person happy, and then how can he get like the most out of these young kids so they can like be like more mature and produce in the field on a high level. Or maybe like the person in the middle ground where they're already like they made it, right? And now it's like, okay, I need you, like, they have like this ego with them, and it's like, okay, how do you tell this person that like has made it to like be more of a team player? Or you have this team player who like needs to like step up and like do better on the field, right? Like there's so many different personalities, different like skill sets, and I think a coach does, like a good coach can take that and kind of like mash it together, and with like play calling and just making like the team feel more like family, and being responsible. I think a good coach will get that out of a team, and like win games and championships and all that stuff. So I think that like a coach does a really good job. A good coach will do a good job of that. And then it takes like, I think like a leader on the team to like be the mini coach within the team, right? That can talk to people on their level and like know what they're going through, whether it's like just like personal life, or if it's like on the field, like how to navigate through like situations. Like it takes like a good leader. And that's why I love the Niners, is because like in my 3 years we had that. Like like out of all the teams I've been to, like I never experienced like something like that with any other team, where you have a Patrick Willis who is sitting right behind you, and it's like you're sweating bullets when they ask you a question, because Patrick Willis is behind you, and it's like you can't mess up the answer. I think that was just like such an eye-opening experience, where now it's just it just made you become more of a professional now. Like now you have to like go back and like do your research and study and stuff like that. So then when they call you and like in meetings, it's kind of like any other meeting, right? Like when they ask you to do a PowerPoint presentation, right? It's just more so like now they'll call you on the spot. They're like, hey, Corey, what were you thinking on this play? What is the defense? What is the offense? What is the concept of their offense? What are they trying to do? Are they setting you up? Like they ran this play like 5 times in the first quarter. Like should we game like on the halftime? Should we game plan it because they saw a leak in our defense and they're trying to exploit it? So like when it comes to when you're in meetings and stuff like that, it's like you need to know these answers, right? You need to know like what situations you're in. So then it's like if it's like a 3rd and 5 and we are on their 35-yard line, right? What is their favorite play? Like what are the chances of they're going to be, if they're in this formation and they have this personnel on the field, what are they looking to do? Who they're going to pass it to? So it's just like all these cues, all these like things you have to know. And and again, like you have like a Patrick Willis, Navarre Bowman, and Justice Smith right next to you, Dante Hittner, right? Like you have all these people around you, and it's like they already know the answer. They've seen it millions of times. So it's just like now it's like, okay, you have to do your due diligence, and like you got to know these answers as well. So so then like you feel a little bit more closer to them on their level when it comes to like the knowledge of the game. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up a good point about coaches, because I just thought about it right now. In college, you got coaches like Nick Saban at Alabama that have been there for how long?
Stop talking about it. Stop talking.
They don't leave.
Yeah.
But in the NFL,
he did the Dolphins dirty. I don't respect them. Okay?
That's that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay, all right.
So, but in the NFL, these coaches turnovers, like if you don't get results in 2 years, you're out of here, and then you go to the next team, and then you do results, and then you go. It seems to bounce around a lot, but Harbaugh was somebody when he was on the team. Just guys seemed to just really respect him. They listened to him.
Oh yeah.
His energy was still like a college coach, and that's why he's at Michigan now.
Yeah.
So, what was it about the way that he led the team that got everybody on the same page?
He was so awkward, but such a great coach. Like he was like the most like awkwardest guy I've ever met. But like it's just like I think he everything he said, he meant. And he was such a player's coach that was a good motivator, a great motivator as well. Like, and so coming in, I was just like, who is this guy? This guy, people like are tweeting about his like, khaki pants all the time. He's like running routes with the receivers and stuff. And it's like, who is this person? Like a regular coach should just be like off on the sideline, just like, yelling at people the whole time. But he was just, I think he did everything for the team. And I think I tell the people this, like, I think one thing people like respect about Harbaugh was just like, he was able to like wrangle in so many personalities, even like people with like high expectations of themselves. Like, you have like, and justly so, like, you have like a Justin Smith who is like in his end of his career, but still performing in a high level. And then you have like Alden Smith, who is like an amazing player who could have been in the Hall of Fame, right? And he was young and he was like doing like dumb things like on the off field. And then you have like, Patrick Willis, who's a Pro Bowl, like going into the Hall of Fame guy in the background. So it's like all these people, and then like you have like a bunch of rookies, you have like a bunch of like, special team guys, all these guys coming in together. I think Harbaugh like made it a point to be more of a player's coach. So like, I think one story I would say like he just like he talks just like very like sporadic. Like it's just like, he'll be talking about like plays and, talking about motivation, like, he'll bring some motivational stuff. And then out of the blue, he was like, do you guys want a scoreboard? And then we're just like, what? Like, he was like, do you want a scoreboard on the practice field? And we're just like, we're all looking at each other just like what? Like, what's going on here? And he was like, you know what? We should get a scoreboard for the practice field. So then we know like what time I feel like that's a little bit better to know that like, what time for every station, like different, like, so it has a feel to the game, more of a game. And so we're just like, I mean, I guess so. And then I just remember looking back and like, Trent Baalke and like some of the staff were just like, what are you doing right now? and then literally like a week later, we had a scoreboard, and it was just like, it was like stuff like that. Like, and all this stuff, like the motivational stuff that he would talk about. Again, very awkward. We were playing Carolina for the like the NFC Conference Championship. And we're just like in Carolina, just like hanging out. He's doing his like rah-rah, like he's starting his speech, and he just started talking about like how he used to wet the bed when he was like younger. And so I was like, what grown man is talking about peeing the bed when like, to a bunch of grown men going into a championship game.
Yeah.
It was like such an awkward approach to it. And then the way he flipped it, and it was so like beautifully done in masterclass of just like how to flip the script on making something awkward into motivational speech. And so at the end of the speech, we're all just like, let's fucking go. Let's go. We're all screaming all this stuff. And he was like, sit down, sit down. Like, we got to get prepared for this game, all this stuff. And then just smoke started coming through the door. And we're just like, wait, what is going on? Like, just the room is like filled with smoke. And then a door starts opening. And then Ric Flair walks out. And he's doing, the music is coming, and he's doing this limousine riding, champagne, doing the whole spiel. And we're just like, what is going on right now? And it was just like such a, crazy experience. But the fact that, he takes the story about peeing the bed and making it something about like standing up to your bullies and beating them. And then Ric Flair comes out, was just like, this is a great coach. Like, I've never been a part of like a speech that had so many layers to it. So
he brought Ric Flair into the locker room.
That was so sick. I mean, he'll do stuff like that. Like, I think one thing, a lot of like reverse psychology when it comes to like even play call, like in practice, where, like Severus, like we at the end of practice, we'll have situational like scrimmage where offense and defense, like first team plays second team, second team plays first team, first team, second, whatever, right? And say for instance, it could be whatever situation, second down and 5, balls on this, like we need to score a field goal to win the game. Like he'll just like set up the situation, and like, if defense wins, right, then defense has to do suicides. right? And we would have to like you run the field. If offense wins, same thing. They will have to do suicides. And it's like if you think about it, it was just like, okay, like we're doing punishment for winning like a scrimmage. That's like kind of messed up on his face. But then if you think about it even more, like we'll do suicide, but we won. So we're like running with pride now. Like we're just like, we're going to do this because we freaking beat you in the scrimmage. And so the offense would just be like, they're just sitting there, sitting in their own stew, knowing that they should be running. And we like, and they lost. So it was like a double whammy, right? Like, and so now they're like, we're going to run too. And then now like the whole team is running. And so now it's just like, okay, the way that like, I like, again, it was just like that motivational, like coaching right there was just like, I've never been a part of. So I think that's one thing that like Harbaugh brought to the table where it was like I've been to other teams and the great coaches as well, like, but it was nothing compared to that. So yeah,
that is just so ingenious. It's so simple, but like that vasopressin thing we were talking about, everybody's doing it together, and it just builds that team camaraderie. Forget how much he's making versus what he's making. He's got 20 years in the league, whatever. You all become that same unit. That is incredible, and it's just to be able to bond with the whole team and to lead him that way, to feel like he's one of the guys, because that's the kind of way you felt like you're one of the guys. He's in the mud with you. He's helping you lift up. He's running routes with the receivers.
And he was doing suicide with us too. So
that is just so impressive, because guys see that like that's the guy I want to follow. He's the leader. He's whatever you say, coach, we're doing it. I believe in you. That's the message. Just kind of wish that was more present with so many more of our leaders out there today. Some big CEOs. Sit in the office all day. They don't get out and meet the people.
I know.
And you wonder why there may be so many problems at Google or whatever. It's because, if people don't know you, they don't know if they believe in you. They're not working for your belief. They're working for your money. And it becomes transactional.
And transactional, then you feel like a cog in the machine, right? And it's like, and you don't feel like you're being heard at all. So I think that's the difference between, I think when I left the league and then I went and I actually took a sales job. And it was just like so different, right? Where it was just like, now I'm just, I never saw this. I'll see the CEO, but like, it was just like, it was not like he was giving motivational speeches and stuff like that. So it was very different from like my life, like in football, where it's like, it was like a common goal, right? Like everybody, it was like just not even a championship. It was like win that game, right? It was with the sales job, it was just like, okay, like hitting quota, which, I mean, again, if you have that, like for most people, that's like a great goal, right? Like hitting quota, right? Like getting commission, all that stuff. That's an awesome goal. I think it was just like, it's different, like how that feels like, okay, I'm going to hit my sack goal. But then the overall goal is like, we're going to win this game, right? Like the overall goal is like, we're winning a championship. It didn't feel like that for me when I went into like corporate America, right? It was just like, it felt like, all right, I'm going to get my individual stuff, and then there's no like big picture plan here. So I think that was like one of the biggest difference. So with the league and also like living in that like real world. So,
I mean, I remember watching that Niners team and just the way that you guys all bonded, and it's, even, the Tom Brady Patriots, it's, they got all the Super Bowls and whatnot, but they had more of a business feel. It's like Belichick seemed like he was this dictator. And the guys, okay, I got to do it, because if I don't, I'm almost out of fear. Whereas you guys, it was all based off a motivation, team building, just something there that you couldn't quantify.
For sure.
You just knew that when they went on the field, like, I don't know how they're going to beat that team, but they're going to win against Carolina, whatnot. And then in the Super Bowl, all the way down to the last play.
I know. Don't.
I mean, my Raiders weren't in it, so I could have cared less.
I know.
But still,
again, everybody that's listening, I'm sorry that he is a Raiders fan. Okay. All right.
Anybody says.
I know.
I still remember that Super Bowl in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Just because Rich Gannon was. Never mind.
Okay. It was long ago.
I have my memories. Keep it at that.
I remember watching that game. It was against Tampa Bay.
Tampa
right?
Bay. Gruden left. He goes there. Okay, he's got all the plays. I get it. Still, just to see Charles Woodson get an interception, that was my like moment of peace there.
Okay.
Jeez. So after everything was all done with the Niners and your time was up, how was it like going just the whole free agency thing? And then how did you get Cleveland? Was that the only one that called, or was this the best option for you?
I mean, like a couple teams called, but like I think Cleveland was like the better option. Like I think they picked up my contract. because I was an unrestricted free agent. So they picked up that contract. So and I mean, great people, like super nice. I was like, I mean, never been to Cleveland before, so it was like completely different. And then I was going into like a whole new situation, a whole new thing. So it was all scary all over again. I think I mean, if anything, if somebody gets ripped out of like something that they feel comfortable with, they're gonna feel somewhat defensive, right? They're gonna feel like a little bit out of place. And I think that was like that's what I felt when I was there. It was just like, who am I now? Like, this is like my whole life is just like flipped upside down. And I had my dog here. I had like a whole life here in the Bay Area. So it was just like my mind was not thinking about like moving anywhere else. And it was just like different. Like, I mean, we lost games towards the end of my career with the Niners, but like I didn't really lose games like I did with like Cleveland, and that was like completely different. That was like a whole different mindset. I was just like, it was crazy.
Was the mindset, okay, team is what it is, I'm gonna go get my paycheck?
Yeah,
and then
that's what it felt like. It was just like you're just working to get paid, basically, not just like winning anything. And it was such just a different time. Like I was like going through a lot of like stress as well. Like my mom had was battling breast cancer, so like she was like kind of like on the like tail end of all that. And so like my life was just like, why am I doing this? To like, I don't know if like football is like the right thing. I want to be with my mom, and it was, I think that like put a lot of stress on like who I was, who I was as a football player, to who my mom saw me as like a son. And so I think that like affected me personally. And then couple like, on top of that, the losing. So it was just like, why am I doing this myself to like just keep losing games, And so that was definitely it was a different mindset. Like it just another, again, like my life has been like a whole eye-opening experience. So it was, going there. I think one crazy story, we lost to the Cowboys. Man, it was like so bad. This was like Ezekiel Elliott's first year.
Rookie year.
You remember when he was like tearing it up?
Yeah,
Dude, he came in like to Cleveland, and I mean, they destroyed us. I've never been like that, like, to the point where it was just like, I don't even want to play anymore. Like, it was like the second quarter, and I was like, everybody had that mindset. It was like, we don't want to do this anymore. And I just remember that next day, we go into the team meeting room, and like staff was there, everybody was there, right? Like it was the whole team, coaches, front office, everybody. We were just talking about like the future of like the season. And like Joe Thomas, who's Hall of Famer, like rookie year, everybody knew he was going to the Hall of Fame, right? Like he was just like that guy. And like, in practice, like you cannot beat him. He was that guy, and he got up to the stage and he was just like, all right, guys, that our coach is a pussy. Sorry for the language, but it was just like, hearing a player talk about a coach, like a head coach like that, was just like insane.
Yeah.
And and the fact that he said it, like nobody ever second guess of just like, nobody second guess, oh, he's going to get cut, like he's going to get in trouble. Like, no, like he's going to be fine. It was like, they will let go of the coach faster than they will like let go of this guy, And it was just like that mindset of just like coming from like San Francisco, when you had a coach who was like motivating people and like doing all these things, even through the rough time. He was just like such a good players coach, to something like this where, after the fact that that player came up there and said that, he came up right after, and he just kind of like, he just like brushed it off. He not even brushed it off. He was just like, hey guys, like Joe Thomas holds a lot of weight on this team. So, he can say what he needs to say. And it was just like that. I think that was like such a like telling point where it was like, this season's trash. Like this season's over. Like the coach just gave in to like somebody calling him the P word. And it's like, he's just letting it happen. Right. And it's like, that was such a different, like, me growing up, like just like coming from like nothing to going to school, like, like going to those down and dirty camps, going to like all these practices where, there's an authority figure, right? Like that there's like an established authority figure. And to like seeing that was just like, and then like couple that with like my whole family situation, I was like,
Oh man,
I don't want to be here anymore. Like, you know, so it was just, it was just all of that coming into fruition. So yeah.
Jesus. And then you went to the Jets for what, 1 year, 2 years?
I went there for a year and a half, and that was, I mean, great team, young team, a lot of good coaching. I felt like they like the backbone of the team is like what they are now, like where, you know, like you see they did really good this year.
Some noise, yeah.
They're making some noise. So it was like you can see the workings with the team, like with that team when I played, where it was like you got a lot of young people that were hungry, that want to win games, and it was like refreshing coming from Cleveland to this, where they were not good, like on paper they were not good, but at the same time it's like I want to keep fighting for these people every single day. So I think that was and love the Jets organization. Like they did me right, especially when I retired as well. So yeah, like nothing. It was a great experience.
What was it that made you say, okay, my time is up in the NFL? Injuries, the time?
I think it was like a part of me was like, I'm done. Like so my mom passed, and then like my dad was like going through a lot of like health problems as well. And so I was just like, you know, I don't want to be, and like football was like taking me away from like the people that I care about. And like injuries started like slowing me down, and I was just like kind of like contemplating like, you know what? I'm like fairly young. Like I want to like enjoy the people that I love, and I think I learned to cherish that more than actually football.
Yeah.
And just like the fame of it all, because like I mean, yes, like the money is great. Like, you know, like being like in situations where I probably will never be in that situation again. All great, but I think I valued like the people I spend my time with more. I think I took that as like, okay, this is like my calling card to be like, you know, I'm just gonna call it quits. I'm gonna start my like, I want to like see what's my next journey in life, and you know, and I've been loving the process ever since. Like where it's just like every day, like I'm thankful for, you know, when I wake up, it's just like, you know, setting myself up for like success and just doing all the right things as much as I can to like build that success. And just keep meeting good people along the way, whether it's clients or people that come to classes or anything like that. Is just like keep putting my best foot forward. And, you know, again, like if I would go back and change anything, I wouldn't change anything, because it's like, I think where I'm at now is like where I was like destined to be. So yeah.
Things happen for a reason. You did what, 7 years in the league?
I did 5 years actually.
5 years, yeah. So just to put in perspective for people, it's, you know, that career is very short compared
5.5, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot of lessons there.
Oh, yeah,
So people
like,
think, why can't you be like Tom Brady and do it for whatever many years? It's
and
like,
it's tough. Like it is tough. Like, and it's like super demanding on your body, mentally, physically. Like, you know, I think the average span is like what, 2 years or something like that.
Is it?
Yeah. So it's just, you know, people come and go. Like, I mean, going into off season, there's like 100 something people on the team, and they dwindle down to 50, and you'll never see the other 50 ever again. So, and it's just like, it is what it is. And then like the next season, they like clean the roster again, and it's like a whole new set of fresh faces and stuff like that. So again, it's a tough industry. And then it is super tough, like leaving the industry when your whole life is like, kind of like, everybody sees you in that light, and it's tough. So yeah,
I bet. Yeah. It's definitely a tough place to be in. People admire, but then when you see the work that goes into it, it's not easy at all.
Yeah.
But now, so after you left the Jets, did you just come back to San Francisco automatically? You went back to Miami first?
No, I actually stayed in New York. I stayed there for like almost 2 years, and I mean, great. It was fun. I think I overstayed my welcome as well. And I love New York, and I love the people that I met there as well. I think one thing is just, I was just doing a lot of dumb things like that. I was just like trying to like still live that NFL lifestyle. And I was just, you know, at the end of the day, it was like, the people I was meeting, like this, I think when I talked about it, it's like the people, see you in that football light. So then it's like, you know, it's hard to escape that when people around you are like, oh, this is my friend Corey, he played for the Jets and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, you want to live that lifestyle, right? Because it's like, it's flattering, but at the same time, it's not real life. So I think that was like a part of me was just after like 2 years, I actually went to a therapist to like talk about like that transition and like who am I as a person and what I want in life. And it was, again, I love my time with New York. I would never change it. But it was like very like it really meant a lot to me to move back to San Francisco to be with like people I care about the most and building a future here and just like seeing where like life plays out. So yeah.
That's excellent, man. And
Yeah.
so when you came over here, what people may not understand is that you're doing a lot of great things over here with fitness. So talk about how you made this transition into the business that you got now.
Yeah. Like, so no, it's just like I think the people around you is just like, you kind of like, I kind of morphed into it. So, I mean, with my like my fitness background and like my sports background, everything was like all revolved around like working out. So when I was, I remember I tell this, when I was in third grade, my dad bought us, me and my older brother, a Bowflex. So
Third grade?
third grade. So we've been lifting weights since the third grade. And so it was just like, then once we got to high school, my mom bought me and her a gym membership. So we will go to the gym right after school. And so that'll be like our thing. And just like, it was just like, like fitness has always been like something like super close to me. And then, yeah, it was like when I moved back to the Bay, like I had friends like that were in like personal training, like group training, like with Barry's. I kind of like, well, I would go to a Barry's class and my best friend's girlfriend, she just started as a Barry's instructor. And she was like, hey, Corey, like I'm starting out, like come to my class. And I went there and I was like, I love it. Like the community was great. It was just like such a like great vibe. And I was like, I can do this, right? I can make people happy. And I think that's what I enjoy the most is like making people happy. And so it was like easy for me to like go into that field, right? Because it was like something I know and then something I love too. And so, got my certifications, took courses all over, just like kind of like shadow other trainers and instructors and all that stuff. And then just like it gave me like that sense of like a new sense of purpose. Whereas like now, back in the day, I was just, striving to be the best like player I can be. Now it's like, how can I strive to be the best person I can be so then I can help somebody achieve their goals in life, right? Whether it's like fitness or just like kind of like just getting through life. So that's kind of like what I love about the industry. So yeah.
And you like doing group fitness classes, or do you prefer doing individual one?
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's I love it both. I think there's like a difference between two. I think the with individual training, you get that like one-on-one, that time with that person, and you get to know like their, what their faults are, what their strengths are, like what they're like averaging, and then like try to like whether it's like in the workouts or what like their personalities, right? Where now it's like, how can we build that confidence, right? So, if it's like my like clients that are not like, they never been to the gym before, it's like, let's teach you the basics so you have a little bit more confidence going into the gym by yourself, right? And then like, okay, like once you get there, like how can we like up this? And so then when you go to the gym, now you're like, okay, like I can do this now, and now I feel like I'm part of this like community. I think that's like, I love stuff like that. With a group training, it's great because it's like, it's a whole community thing, right? I think people come in together, like people come to group fitness classes, wanting to be with people that have similar goals as them. And it's like, it's easier to go to these group classes instead of like a standard like gym working on yourself, where it's like, I don't feel confident here, even though I know the moves. Like, it doesn't feel like I don't enjoy this time. Like I can do other things like talk to my friends or something like that. Now it's just like piecing the two together, right? Where it's like fitness and you can hang out with your friends. And I think that's like a key for a lot of people. So like it takes like a good instructor to like facilitate that friendly ecozone where like people become friends with people. And then it's like they come back, now they're inviting their other friends to come to class. And now it's like a whole like thing where, they're going out to, somebody that never met before. Somebody was like from California and this other person is from New York. They just move and now they're friends going to concerts, dinner together, all this stuff. And it's just like, it's great to see that like these group classes, they build these relationships. So yeah, I think that's.
As an instructor in a group class, how do you make sure that you're giving people the attention that they need, knowing that at probably every class there's going to be a couple people in there, this is their first time doing anything, and of course when it's your first time you're just kind of intimidated. You don't want to embarrass yourself, or you think you're doing it wrong and someone might like look over and you think that they're judging you, whatever. So as the instructor, how do you make sure that you're getting that attention? I've seen some instructors like they just remember people's names. Well, that would be a good one for me, but how do you do it?
I mean, remember people's names, and then like learning a little bit. I think social media is also great too, because a lot of like the group fitness class, especially Barry's, it's hard to talk to people within the class, because like you're like, when we're on the mic, you're just always going, right? Like you're telling people what to do and stuff like that. So you can't like, there's times to like talk to people, but like you really don't understand, like get people. I think social media does a really good job of that, where like people just like follow you on Instagram. So like I'm checking Instagram. So like if like one of the client Barry's regulars drops their kids off to Tennessee for a rowing like school that they're participating. And then it's like they come to class and it's like, oh, I saw you in Tennessee. How was that? I've been there with like, and it's like, now it's like, oh, like, yeah, I was there with my daughter. She was going to row school and all that stuff. And I think that gives them a little bit like that connection with the trainer, with the instructor, where it's like, oh, this person really cares about my well-being. So now I'm going to put a little bit more effort in, because like they're going to always want to know everything about my life. And it's all about like being heard, right? Like one thing about like whether it's like individual training or group training or just like, online training, it's just like being heard, right? Like, anybody's like problems, or like whether it's like personal or if it's like physical, it's just like they want you to know, like if it's like in an indirect or indirect way, like they want you to know that like they're going through some stuff, or there's a life achievement that they're going through, and like so you want to like give them attention to that, give them love, like dial it back, give them like a little feedback, like anything, right? Like they just want to be heard. So yeah.
That is so true, and that's so actually it's true for so many industries out there. It's people think that if they're going to go to a personal trainer or a class or if you're the instructor, it's natural for you to believe they're coming here to lose weight, they want to get big biceps and ripped abs and whatever. And for the most part, most people just want that sense that someone's hearing me, because in their mind they have a lot going on, and no one may not understand that they're problems, but if their instructor seems to get them, or just make the little things like remember your name, you went to Tennessee, how was that, I grew up there, whatever it is, it builds that connection, that deeper thing, like we were talking about with Jim Harbaugh. It makes you feel like you're with that person. They understand you. Coincidentally or not, it might give that person more effort to want to do more of what you're doing. And that's what people are really, what they really want. That's what they're buying. That's why they keep coming to the classes. It's like, he gets me, or she gets me. I just want to be in that class. Oh, by the way, I'm feeling good. I'm getting a workout in. It doesn't matter if, if my arms are Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever. I feel good going to the class. I know I'm getting a workout, so I'm happy, I'm satisfied.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah, that's and then like that's why I take some of the stuff that I've learned through football and then try to like, implement it in there as well too, and just like, holding people into that higher standard, like the most they can do. Like your body can push to unbelievable limits. It's just like making people understand that their bodies can like do that, because people are like so closed off and just be like, I can't do this and all that stuff. And then when you start breaking it down, right, and then making it seem a little bit easier, and then just help them build the process through and like building their confidence through, then it's just like, I think that's when they associate their success with that trainer. And then it's like, okay, now it's like, I've gotten to this point because like I've had like awesome help from this, like this person, this girl, this man, like, whoever. And it's like, and then it becomes, it becomes like a healthy ecosystem of like, when they come talk to you, now it's like they let their guard down, because like, some of these classes, especially Barry's, is very intimidating, and they think like all these Barry's instructors are just like mean, just like, you need to give me burpees, all that stuff. It's really not. It's like, especially like my colleagues at the Barry's SF and like all over, they're just, we're just there to like help you reach your ultimate goal, right? Like, and I think that's like when it comes to berries, when it comes to like my group training classes in my building, or when it comes to like my individual one-on-one training, it's just like building confidence, right? And just like letting you know that you can achieve anything you want, and you just have to go after and get it, right? And so that's kind of like what, like the motto I live by. So yeah.
It's really basic human psychology, and it's a message that I try to get out through all the guests that I have on the show, is that if you understand people, you actually understand the business. If you don't understand people, all the leadership classes, all the degrees, whatnot, it's not going to mean anything if people don't relate to you. Once they relate to you, they believe in you, they're going to buy what you're selling. Now, it's not meant to say that I'm just trying to sell a product. I actually care about my clients. I actually care about making them be the best version of themselves. But in order for me to do that, I have to build that trust with them. And the next thing you know, everything just falls into place. Like we were talking about the difference between the Niners when you were on and the Cleveland Browns when you were on. Night and day difference. And where was the leadership at? Here, I believed in the guy. That one, it just didn't feel right. It was the paycheck that I was working for.
For sure.
That's incredible. And I've had a lot of trainers on this show, and I've gotten mixed messages about this one. So I want to get your opinion. What do you think about the idea of showing too much of your workouts on social media? Do you think it helps people, or do you think maybe people take it the wrong way?
I think if you give things out for free, then you are opening up yourself to more business. So I'm all for like showing everything out, like putting everything on the table, so then people know where you're coming from, and then that way, when you like then people are gonna, at the end of the day, like it's standard squat, deadlift, push up, push pull kind of thing, right? Like carry, right? Like obviously there's going to be like, there's different workouts, different ways to like achieve that, or, or like to make it regress or progress, different mobility, stability exercises. There's like a plethora of exercises. It's not like nothing's going to change, right? Like it's none of that's ever going to change. I think the one thing that, you want to make sure, like for an instructor or anybody on social media, is like, if you be upfront with people and like, this is what I've done with my clients, and you put it out there, I think you're opening yourself up to people wanting to gravitate towards you. So like, it's not, I don't think of it as a bad thing. I think it's just like, it's a great strategy actually. And it just opens you up. I see a lot of instructors, like I follow this guy, two guys, Move You, and then also Squat University, and they put a lot of content out there for free, like where it's like, it's so easy for them, like, to get business and people wanting to work with them, because like, it's he just lays it all out for you, and it's like, okay, if you have tight ankles, this is what you need to do. Like if your tibia doesn't rotate outward as much, this is the exercise you need to do, right? So it's just, there's different, like there's all these instructors that is like, sign me up. For me, it's like, like sign up, like get this so you can get like an exclusive. I don't really subscribe to that, because it's like, what's so special, right? Like what's so special? Like I can go to like somebody that's free, that's telling me that's more like who's more experienced, and now I want to buy a package from them, not you, right? Like, because like he's giving me the goods, and now I want to know like his strategy, and like how can I, his strategy, and how I can build a perfect program, or like if I'm like doing the program, like, what is the method to this madness kind of thing. So yeah.
I like that, because I think you're right. The more you give away free, like here's a good squat workout for your, rear calves, whatever it is. The more you give it out free, the more people are gonna say, you know what? Actually, I've gotten a lot from this stuff, and I trust him. And now actually, he's got a program that allows me to take what I've learned for free and make it better. Yeah. Then it's gonna get them to want to buy in. Versus if you say, hey, you want to learn how to do squats? Okay, it's gonna be $100. $100, and it's like, I don't even know you. I don't know what I'm gonna get.
That's the thing. Like once you put like money is a motivator, and like kind of like it's an incentive, a disincentive for a lot of people. So it's like if there's a money tied to it, now it's like there's expectations, right? Like where it's like, oh, like, why don't I have abs? And it's like, okay, like I already put $100 in there, like, and I don't have abs, like screw this. And then they'll be done with this person forever, right? Like it's gonna be so hard to like sell them all over again, right? I think if you put out content out all the time, like for free, and then like they start to get it, and then it's like a whole slow process, and then now they're like, okay, like I love this, like the person I've been working with, like not like indirectly working with,
Right.
now I'm like, I want to see where this leads. I'm gonna like buy their program, or I want to actually do some personal training with them, or I'll go to their classes or something like that. Now it's like, okay, like I've done all the stuff that you told me to. Now I have something to talk to you about, and and so now it's like, okay, why am I not doing this better and all this stuff? And it's like, well, now like let's do it. Let's step it up even more, right? Like this is what you need to do even more. So it's like it just opens you up to better business. So yeah, better and long sustainable business.
That is incredible, man. Because some of the other side that I hear about on the, I guess you call it the negative side, would be if you put too many progress pictures. Like, look at my abs, look at my arms. I can look at that and say, okay, I can see where he's going. He started here, he went there. Whatever he's doing, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get some other people to say, oh, he's just showing up. Or, I don't care about that. Do you have your own personal thoughts on that whole thing?
I'm not a big progress picture. I'll like do it here and there. It's like if my clients if they want it for aesthetic reasons, right? Like, and they're like willing to, if they sign off and like, hey, Corey, that's fine with me. But I think like society, right? Like society sees like, abs and like bigger butt and just being like, this is what I need to look like. This is what I need to look like, be like, this is, and they don't like see all the long steps that it takes to get there. And so when people like post like, and I'm not saying like it's a bad thing, don't get me wrong. Like it's general fitness, move your body at all times, right? Like just move, right? And I get it. Like for a trainer aspect, you want to like get more business. So it's like, if you show results, like more people will come to you, right? And that's part of the game, right? That it is what it is. But I think for me, it's like, just I'm more focused on people feeling more confident and then just like doing good on their own, right? So then it's like, maybe it's not like very superficial where it's like I want abs, I want a bigger butt, more so like I want to like be able to like to hold my kid around and like run around with my kids all the time, right? Or I want to be like, I want to make sure that like I'm going on this hike in a couple months and I want to be like strong enough where I can like go through the hike holding a backpack the whole entire time and not feeling like my knees are about to explode, right? Doing things like that where it's like it's more beneficial to the like everyday lifestyle, not just like the flashy Instagram, I have abs, I have ass, like, and it's like,
no, you're right. You're relating it to this is what you do in your daily life.
Yeah.
If you're 75 years old and you care about holding your grandkids and going out to the park with them, if you can relate that fitness program to being able to do that, it's like, oh, okay, now it clicks.
Yeah.
I'm doing these arm exercises or this chest press because I want to be able to take little Joey to the park and throw him on the slide and go down with him. Okay, I relate that versus just, okay, I got a bigger chest. Who am I trying to impress?
100%. Yeah, I mean, like how long, like, what, are you gonna stand in the mirror and flex for like 6 hours? Like no. Are you gonna be like taking your kids to the park and stuff like that? Yes. Like, are you gonna be sitting up and down from your couch? Yes. Are you gonna be like picking your kid up to put on your shoulders? Yes. Like, are you gonna do like all these things that like you never think about, like, and it just like feels like super like subconscious, like it's back there, but it's just like so easy, like pushing a door, right? You don't think like just like pushing a door open, right? That's bench press, right? Like that's a lot of pushing movements, right? Like and that's what I think I love about the whole fitness aspect of it, is just like the how to be better at normal day life, like life things, right? Like where it's just like even like dumb things, like I think my balance is superior. So like when people try to trip me and stuff like that, like I just like know how to maneuver my body to like stand back up, and it's like you never got me,
It's all in tackle drills, man.
I know. So yeah, it is, stuff like that where like working on people's balance who had really bad balance like in life, and like showing them like, okay, like these are the exercises, this is what you need to do, all this stuff. And it's like, they're not like, falling over themselves all the time. You know, you ever had those like clumsy friends that like just fall all the time, right?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right?
If he's watching this episode right now.
We know who you are.
Oh man.
I think that's and you know, going through a whole like program where it's like helping you learn how to balance better. And then now they're not the clumsy friend anymore. Now they're just like, now this is like the normal friend, you know?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, like just like normal day life, like life events that you want to feel like you're able to like achieve. I'm all for it. That's me. So yeah.
That's incredible. And it's great to hear that from a personal trainer, because it's like real estate. The industry can be a dime a dozen. If you are somebody that just wants to get in shape and you have no clue where to look, you know, you might think, okay, it's all the same thing. How do I pick out one over the other? And to be able to relate real life stuff to why somebody needs to work out and this is what they're going for, it's an incredible thing. I really wish we had more and more trainers out there that saw that instead of just the dollar signs or I'm the guy that gets you 18-inch arms. No, it's the functionality for it. Yeah. This is why you're going to keep doing it forever.
100%. Like, I mean, there is an industry for that, right? Like if you want 18-inch arms, right? Like if you are going into one of the, a body, I can't think of the word right now. Bodybuilding competition, right? Like, yes, that's all important, right? Like there's trainers out there like that. And yeah, there's, again, like my thing is like, just move if it's like getting up and taking a walk, right? Lifting weights, you know, like playing with your dogs, go out and run, just move. So, yeah.
So if you were to give advice to somebody who it just hasn't worked out probably in a long time, if ever, and they just want to start, what are some like maybe like top 5 tips you'd want to give them about if you just did these things, you're going to be in a better position and we can go from there?
I mean, I would say start with the ankles. Yeah, start with the ankles. Get that ankle more flexible, and then you'll see it will help with like just like squatting wise, just your balance. I think everything starts from the ground up. So definitely number one, ankles, ankles and feet. Okay. And then I think it's just like start them off with like the basics, right? Like nothing too crazy. A lot of volume training just to like they can build that like muscle memory as well. And just like go through the simple basic movements like squat, push, pull, lift, and carry. Like get them going on those 5 things, and then it's like once they get like super good at that stuff, now it's like, okay, like how can we, now it's like that's when the fun starts to happen. Like everything is fun, but like that's when like we can like really like either put on weight, or we can challenge yourself with like mentally by throwing a ball at you while you're like standing on one leg, right? Like, or you know, how fast can you get to this point A to point B? How fast can you do kettlebell swings in like 20 seconds, right? Like the goal is maybe like get 25 kettlebell swings in 20 seconds. I don't care, whatever. Like things like that. Like, it's like, okay, it gets people's like that competitiveness in them, and they're just like, okay, you know, but it all starts with building confidence, right? Like starting up from like the ground up, right? Like I said, work on those ankles, work on those feet. And then like, once you get that going, and you know, whatever muscle imbalances that they have, like just trying to work on those things. And if you have a trainer or somebody that like is knowledgeable in that field, and then and just like, I think for people that's starting off, give them easy wins, like, and find easy wins for them. So like I think a good trainer is like, if you have somebody that's like really strong at lower body and like super weak on upper body, then I'm gonna program things that are like, that'll make them feel like they just achieved like the world on lower body, and then like small wins on the upper body, or vice versa, like just like stuff like that, where it's like they don't ever think about it, but I'll program for something for like 9 weeks, and I'll be like, look, we're gonna start off on like 50 pounds here on the goblet squats. In 9 weeks, then we're at 75. And then they look back at it, they'll be like, oh, you remember that time you did 50-pound goblet squats? Now you're doing 75. And it's like, those are like the small wins that like will get them to keep coming back. And then it's like, okay, now I want to see what else I can do, right? And it's like building that confidence, building that like drive in them to see where their bodies can take them. Because like, you know, I think it's with life. Like, I mean, I know for me personally, it's like, you know, if I start learning a skill, now it's like, okay, how can I keep like improving on that skill? So then like I could be like, you know, the best person I could be in that, with that, you know? So And I think I'm not saying like everybody thinks like this, but like I feel like a majority of people like feel that way when it comes to like anything in life, right? Where it's like, if they feel like they're good at something, then it's like, okay, like I need a challenge, like I need something more now, like, and so yeah.
So, as a personal trainer, what's the biggest thing that you see why people fall off the goal? And usually, for a lot of people, it's the New Year's Eve resolution. Okay, I'm gonna start going to the gym, and then by mid-February, they stop going. What's been the biggest discouragement for people that don't get that gets them to not keep going?
I think it's like a couple things. I think it's they push themselves too hard in the beginning, right? Like they probably didn't work out all last year, right? And then they're like, New Year's resolution, let's go, I'm down for it. And they go to the gym and they just went ham. Like they're just like, oh my God, like this feels so good at the time, all that stuff. And then that next day hit and it's like, it's shit. It's like you're feeling bad. It's like super sore. You can't move and all that stuff. And then people have like that like negative, like, negative connotation of like, okay, like, I don't want to be this, I don't want to feel this way. But it's like that, then it takes like a coach to be like, just, first of all, like you shouldn't be like squatting 300 pounds if you didn't squat 300 pounds last year, right? Like, what are you doing right now, right? Like, let's start with baby steps. And that way, like, you can keep coming back to the gym and build that cadence. And then when you have that cadence, then now it's part of your lifestyle. And then with that lifestyle, then you like start seeing changes. And then it's like, it's easy to like go to the gym now. Like where it's like before it was like a drag where I'm like, I'm super sore, like all this stuff. And then you try to you make excuses like, oh, I have to do this. All these other things are coming up. And it's like, come on, like, like it's 30 to an hour a day, right? Like take that time for yourself. So then like you become your better self. And I think also injuries as well. Injuries is a big key. Like I think a lot of people who go into these gyms with imbalances that like maybe they're like, their right hip doesn't internally rotate as much as the left, and it's like when you're squatting, you're shifting to that side, the favorable side more, and then it's like, damn, why is my groin tweaked? Why am I like hurting right now? And they don't really know how. So then it's like, like 3 days later, now like the pain is like even more, like it hurts even more. And now it's like, why do I want to squat anymore if this is always going to be the pain, right? Like, and it's like nobody runs into pain, right? Like, they want to see results. They want to feel good about themselves and all that stuff. So it's just like, I think for that is like learning about these like imbalances and learning these like deficiencies that like your body have, and learning how to like, get a little bit more be a little bit more mobile, be a little bit more stable with your lift, with your body, and so that way they can like they come in, no problems, they are just right. Like when I go into the gym and I'm like, man, my knees are like freaking tweaking right now, right? Like, okay, I know what like exercise I need to do to like get them stronger, get them stable. So then when I go into squats, then I don't have those problems anymore. And that's like kind of like what I like convey to like my clients is like, look, these are like the exercises you need to keep harp on every day, right? And these are on the like when I do like the consultations where it's like, majority of the people have rounded backs, right? Because they're very kyphotic. So it's like they're typing all day long, right? So it's like, it's easy for a lot of people to like round their shoulders and stuff like that. So it's like doing a bunch of drills, right? To help pull those shoulders back and strengthen your lower traps. And they don't really even think about stuff like that, right? Lower traps, right? Like everything, like it's the top traps and that's it, right? And so, it's easy. So teaching them like, okay, these are the drills you need to do. So then like you have a little bit better posture, right? You don't feel like a little, like a crick in your groin where you're squatting down, right? Like when you're doing all these drill like movements and it's like, it's painful. Now it's like, let's like tackle the underlying issue. So then you go into like a workout or any life event knowing that like you feel confident that you will come out successful. So yeah.
That's awesome. How's your clientele broken down between men and women? 50-50?
I mean, it's like 50-50. Like
Okay.
I like to keep it 50-50. Like and it's from all like races, like
Ages,
like, and it's fun for me because like now it's like I go into conversations like with a whole different new perspective, right? Like I have like a girl group of 3 that are all like different ages, one 30, one like 20, like 27, and one is like 24. And it's like, okay, like they're all different, like, and how do I like navigate through that conversation and stuff like that, and just like, get them to go in this common goal. So like, we talk about Love Island all the time, like we just like, I talk about like stuff that like similar with like with the collective group interests, right? I'll have, somebody that is like very like, just not like they lack confidence, right? And it's like, okay, like how can we build this up so then like you can, be the best person you can be. So then you go onto these events and you feel like, like now, like when I talk and I talk with more of like, and this is more so like for my men clients, right? Where they talk with a little bit more like oomph, and so, and I love that. Like that's like and I love like helping building those like that confidence up. So yeah.
That's great. Now, so generally speaking, do you get the same kind of pushbacks or challenges from women about, from what I've heard about them, is I don't want to get big and bulky.
Oh yeah.
And then how do you overcome that?
Yeah. Like, and it always happens. And I'm just like, like you don't eat enough protein and you don't lift as much weight to look like this. So it's like, this is like, it's one of the, I think I like one of in my consultations, I just like tell them right there at the rip. And I was like, you're not going to get bulky. You're going to be the best version of you, and stop looking at Instagram and all this stuff and just like comparing yourself to those people. Right. Because like at the end of the day, like you don't lift as much as that woman does. And like, I don't think you will ever like get there, like unless you want to get there. Right. You won't get there. You will just be the best version of you, right? Like, and some women, like they're more susceptible of like building muscle more than like other women and all that stuff. So it's like being more comfortable with your body, right? And just like understanding your body even more. And I think that's like such a key, like such a like just, I think I'm lost of words right now, but I think that's like something that when I go into my training sessions is like, okay, like be the best version of you. Like, obviously like you're more muscular than all the other girls. Like own it, live it. Like, like be the best, like sexy, strong person you can be, right? And it's, I think that's, it takes some time. I think, again, going back to like small wins, you build up that small win, then they feel a little bit more comfortable with you. And then like, they're like, okay, I get it now. Like, I know this is my body now, and I'm okay with it now. Like I'm going to be the best version of me now. So yeah.
So that's for women. How about men? What's the biggest pushback you get from us?
I think for men is like the ego, right? Like they're just like, they don't want to be told anything, right? And I got this, and all this stuff. And it's like, when they put weight on the bar and I'm like, I think you should go lower, and it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think that's like one of the biggest thing. And it's like, it's like sometimes like, dude, step back, man, just step back. And trust me, like you're going to be able to lift this without ease if you just like step back a little bit and then like work just keep chipping away at the small stuff. And then once you get to that big number, then it feels a lot easier. And then it feels a little bit more attainable once you get there, instead of like, if I say, hey, let's get like, 5 sets of 5 at like, at, one like 95 pounds, right? And they're like, no, I do 135. And it was like, for how many? And it's like for one rep. And I'm like, no, let's put 95 pounds on the bar. And they're just like, no, I can do 135. And it's like, okay, all right. So and then I think it's like, let them fail, right? Yeah. And then they come back and there's like, okay, you're right.
Well, it depends. Is there anybody else in the gym watching? Because if there's nobody, all right.
Yeah.
The women walk in, what, give me the
extra 45 pounds, right? Yeah, no. So that's definitely like setting, leaving the ego at the door and then just like coming in, because like at the end of the day, like I know I'm not here to like weight shame you, right? Like I'm not here to like, I'm not like going behind your back and like making fun of you like for lifting, whatever weight. Well, that's you, like, like we're trying to build something, right? Like I have clients that are like, hey, Corey, I want to like lift 185 pounds at the end of the year. And I'm like, okay, let's like start at like 115. And then we'll just keep building it up there until we get to that, where we can do like a set of like 165 for a set of 5. And it's like, so when you do that PR day, Like, and we hit that 190, and it's like, shit, you said 185, we got to 190, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
we made progress here, right? Like, we blew your expectations. So yeah.
Do you think people, both men and women, confuse strength and hypertrophy training, and does that lead to some of the confusion with, I'm doing all this weight, but how come I don't have the big chest? Whatever. Do you see that a lot in the industry?
I mean, say that question again one more time. Sorry.
Do people confuse strength training with hypertrophy? The idea that if I'm putting more weight on the bar and I can bench press 250, then I should get this big chest, not realizing, okay, strength and power is different training than just the pure size. If you want the 18-inch biceps, we got to go this route versus how much you can actually lift.
But it's all like educating like the client, right? Just telling them like, hey, what do you want? Like, if this is what you want, then we'll get there, right? Like, I have like clients that are like, look, I want to feel strong. I want to lift heavy weights. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to keep it low reps the whole entire time, right? We're just going to and we're going to see how heavy you lift every time, all right? And we're trying to be consistent with us hitting those numbers, right? When I say 3 sets of 5, you're getting all 3 sets of 5, right? Like, if you're tired, like, take a little lap, come back, you're getting that last rep, right? Like, I don't care. But like, if it's like a hypertrophy training where it's like, we're just building that muscle endurance, right? We're trying to build muscle memory and all that stuff. Like, then, like I don't really like, if we're going into burnout zone and stuff like that, it's like, I don't really care about the reps, the number of reps and stuff like that. It's just like, do it till you feel that burn and stuff like that. And then again, like, just like educating them, like, what you want, like, right? Like, I don't like, and like, what do you want? And then like, also educating them, like, this is what you need, right? Like, if we're going to build strength, right? Like, a lot of women, like a lot of my women, like a lot of women think that, okay, just low weight, high volume. And it's like, this is how I'm going to get strong. Yes, you will get strong. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, you won't get it like as fast as you will like it to be, right? Like, so then like, I'll have them under a bar where it's like they're squatting heavy for like low reps, and then like when they go into like hypertrophy training, now they built that endurance where they can manage that load the whole entire time. And it's like, okay, this is why we do a mix of everything, right? Like, it's like just being more open to different types of like strength training, whether it's like hypertrophy or strength. And so then like, we can reach their goals a little bit faster. So yeah.
Do people ever come in and say, hey, I want to look like her or him, and they point to somebody on Instagram?
I had that one time, and then that client never worked out with me. Like, like, it was just like, it was like, oh man, why? Like, it was like this person, like, and it was like somebody that is like super famous. They probably have like a registered dietitian on their team, right? They have like personal trainer on the team. Their body standard has to be like super high because they're always in public. Yeah. And I was like, so it's just like, they have all these resources around them, which like, you're balling on a $80,000 salary, like a year salary. And it's like, you can't do stuff like that. Right. And it's like, you need to like set your expectations, like, to like, like be real with your expectations. Right. And so,
well, it's amazing how much people don't realize those photos of people that have
Photoshop.
Impressive. Well, yeah, even that. Yeah. But do you realize how much they're in the gym? Yeah. Do you realize what their diet is? Do you want to eat boiled chicken and steamed broccoli every day?
And they probably don't. Like,
yeah, exactly.
They probably don't. Like, so it's like, again, setting that real expectation for themselves is like, I think that's going to be key. Because like, you telling somebody that like loves to go out to dinner and eat, like loves a casual like cocktail or wine at night, and like, hey, I want to look like this, and it's like, okay, all right, okay, and it's like, okay, at the end of the day, like, you want to like, trainers should like learn how to navigate. Like, I think everything is like a problem waiting to be fixed. So it's just with stuff like that, like, I have clients that are like love wine, love drinking, love like, enjoying life to the fullest kind of thing. And it's like, look, if you want to get to this point, then, I'm not like a subtraction guy. I love to add, but like, this is not like conducive to like where you're trying to go. Right. So it's like, we got to like either like not cut something out like entirely, but we need to figure out like how we can like supplement some things. So then when you're going out, you don't feel as guilty, right? When we're going out and drinking, we're not binge drinking. We're like, we're consciously drinking water right after our drink. We're not getting to the point where we're getting like blacked out at the end of the day. Surround yourself with people that like are a little bit more like-minded and that are just like, look, I don't want to be hungover the next day because I have like other things to do that next day, right?
Right.
So like surrounding yourself with people, learning like some like techniques to like when you do go out to like be more conscious of like, just like, yeah, like I said, like drink water right after a drink, right? Like make sure that you're sticking to like less sugary drinks, right? Doing all these little things, right? Like making sure that, like when people like drink, they love to binge eat as well, right? When they're hungover or like right when they're out. And so it's just,
it's getting that message across. And I just wish more people understood that you got to really decide what kind of lifestyle you want. If you're a foodie and you love going out to eat great, good food, that's awesome, man. Enjoy your life. You probably won't have 3% body fat. Are you prepared to make that compromise? And the reality is nobody cares. I don't care, and guys, we're more visual. So we're like, everything has to look a certain way, but nobody's going to care if that woman's 22% body fat versus 18%. Like, it's too much. Sorry, I can't talk to you. Nobody cares.
And that's why like social media does like such a, I mean, social media is great like for connecting people, but then it also like it makes people like feel like this a whole image that they can't attain, like they're just like trying to like they'll die for, and it's like you don't have to like die for this, like it's like live your life, but like be real with yourself, right? Like you can have fun, and if you want to work out and you want to feel good about yourself, like know when to like kind of like switches, like know like I need to turn this up to turn this down, but I got to turn this down, right? Like, and if you're turning up the partying, then know that like the fitness is going to sacrifice, and you got to be okay with it, right? Like and if you do that, like, and you still want to be fit, know that like it's going to be a struggle like coming back to it, right? So it's just, again, like trying to set like real expectations.
I just wish people understood that nobody cares about. I think this is just my personal opinion. I think it's an issue, or a lot of women take what they see on social media, and I have to look like her, and it just makes things a lot worse. And then, it kind of goes back to the guys like, well, I guess I'm supposed to want that because that's what everybody says they want. And makes everything a whole lot worse.
Do it for yourself. Like do it for yourself, really. Like if you want like an 8-pack or whatever, a 12-pack, I don't care, right? Like just do it for yourself, not for anybody else. So Yeah,
that's excellent advice, Corey. This has been a great conversation. Again, as I told you, time flies when we're having a good time. There's so many topics we didn't even get to, so I got to bring you on again because this is awesome. I definitely wanted to get to the mental health part because we were talking about it earlier off camera, how important that is for our society.
Let's like do something, especially when mental health awareness month is coming up pretty soon. So,
next month or 2 months.
Yeah. So let's plan on that.
We'll make it happen. But in the meantime, Corey, how can people find you?
Follow me on Instagram, Corey L55. And just that's like I do a lot of things on Instagram. So
that's okay. I'll put the link in the description for everybody. And what kind of services do you offer for people? Are you taking clients? Where's the best place to see
just like any inquiries that hit me up. My email address is lemonierlift@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, whether like you're looking for trainers or a trainer and me, or you just have like a general fitness question, just like definitely hit me up either on Instagram or email.
Great. Corey, this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for coming on. I definitely appreciate it. I love hearing the stories about where you've been from, the stories with the Niners, and most importantly, what you're doing now for everybody else. It's great. It's great stuff. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share with anybody that you know that you think can get some great information from all of this content. And if you're listening to the episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a comment for me, and also share with anybody you feel is going to get some great benefit out of this. And I do have a Patreon account. If you would like to become a member of my Patreon to help support the channel, I'd really appreciate that. It helps me purchase all the equipment that I need to make sure I can continue to deliver a great experience for you, the listener, and me and my guests. So thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Thank you, Corey. Have a good one.
Thank you.